Hi, this is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny, very warm, very sunny Las Vegas. I'm here at World of Concrete, as I mentioned before. Lovely time, lovely event. Go every year. So, those of you who know me, you know that I do more than just crypto. I actually have multiple companies, and I have a regenerative medicine company. I do stuff in synthetic biology. I have a clinic that takes care of people, have over 11,000 patients. Obviously, we also have the cryptocurrency portfolio. I'm a bison rancher, and I am a contractor indirectly through my company, Hoskinson Contracting. My brother's actually a licensed general contractor, and we have several hundred people. We do dirt work, concrete work. We build things. In fact, we have 92,000 square feet of projects in Gillette, Wyoming this year, all internal. And then we have a lot of external projects we do for people all across South Dakota, Montana, Colorado, and Wyoming. So I go to World of Concrete every year to get a better sense of where the concrete industry is going and basically to stay with the state of the art of the technology. World of Concrete, largest concrete convention, is tens of thousands of people. There's thousands of vendors. It's an incredibly busy place. It's nice to go to a place where I'm not recognized at all. And it keeps you young and youthful, especially when you take the classes and you get to learn new things. Like today, I learned all about why concrete cracks, where it cracks, how to prevent cracks, and how to manage them when they do occur. I also had a great chance to go to a cold weather concrete pour, and up in Gillette, that's an important thing. So some people were commenting, well, there's all these events going on. There's the presidential inauguration, and there's also WEF over in Davos. And Charles, why aren't you there? And the thing is that when you look at Cardano's become so big and so versatile that it is a choose your own adventure. There are people who think that WEF and Davos are important things to attend and that the elite are there and they should be part of that. Well, there's an organization, the Cardano ecosystem, that values that and attends it every year because they're incumbent in Switzerland. So we're represented, if that's your cup of tea. As for the inauguration, 10 people from my company and affiliated with my company went to the inauguration. J.J. Seiler, my chief of staff, led a delegation with Joel Teltner, our CLO, Cynthia, and we also had Sam Leathers, whom you guys know and love from the Cardano ecosystem, had an honor to go there. Craig Ramsey, head of my security detail, was there. There were a lot of great people who went over to the inauguration. They got to meet all kinds of interesting people, got to hang out with the cabinet and attend the crypto ball and, do all that gala stuff with the black tie. And then obviously I'm here at World of Concrete and also here because we rented HyperX Arena for Hydra Doom, the championship. All of these things happened at the same time, and everybody had an opportunity to go out and be themselves and do interesting stuff. And that's the point about decentralization. That's about who we are as an ecosystem, where we're at in 2025. While I'm here, the hard fork is underway. It's almost done. And in just a few days, Chang plus one is coming, the Plowman hard fork. And that's going to result in activation of the DREPs, which adds an entirely new governance layer to Cardano and a whole new generation of decision makers. So when we looked at 2025, the thing is that it's a choose your own adventure when you're a Cardano user. If you have a particular view of how the world should run, a particular set of politics, the tent is so big, you will find organizations and people that agree with those particular politics and agree with those particular worldviews. And that's the way it should be. We've become so partisan and so divided and so filled with anger and hate that we have decided to live in a world of us versus them in every single thing that we do, in every place that we think about. We just say, oh, well, either this person 100% agrees with everything that I agree with, or they're the enemy and they must be destroyed. It's a pretty amazing thing that the inauguration of Trump, WEF, and World of Concrete all happened at the same time, and we're represented in all three places, and we carry that Cardano flag with us. That's pretty special. Means that we're moving the ball forward. We're getting things done, and this is who we are. People seem to think that, if you have to pick a side. And I reject that notion. I don't think you have to. I think what you have to do is just wear your integrity and principles on your sleeve and keep working and keep pushing forward. For me, I love building things. I love thinking about things. Vaclav Smil wrote a lovely book and mentioned that concrete is the number 2 used substance in the world, right behind water. It's one of the most important industries to unify all of humanity. Doesn't matter if you're from North Korea, Iran, Israel, Russia, China, or America, all of these countries pour concrete. It's a unifying function. And understanding that industry and the challenges that industry is going through as it innovates and changes and becomes more environmentally friendly, blockchain has a role to play there. The work doesn't stop. And it's actually one of the most innovative industries. When you look at it, they have these things called like crystalline admixtures, and they actually form crystals to suck up all the water and make your concrete more water impermeable and prevent cracks. It's pretty remarkable, all the newfangled technology that comes. They even have hemp fibers that they put in. Those are microfibers, and they have macrofibers like steel, and they change all the properties of the concrete. They give you a lot more tensile strength. So amazing when you see all this stuff. And it's good to be a student again. It's good to learn again. It's good to be part of that. And you get to relate to people, talk to people, and they have no idea who you are. They treat you just like an everyday person. And you can say, what do you do? So I'm a finisher. Or what do you do? It's like, oh, I'm a ready mix operator, truck driver, these types of people. Keeps you humble, keeps you on the ground. People who need to network with the elite, they're doing that right now because the elite are necessary, for at least for the time being. And they're having all those conversations, politics, and everything is so serpentine. A lot of pay to play going on right now. A lot of people have cut multi-million-dollar checks, and they get to put on the tuxedos and go to special dinners and pretend like somehow that buys them the future. And I refuse to believe that. The future belongs to all of you. The next 10 years, we're going to have the biggest change in human history. Every aspect of society, from how we communicate with each other, how we work, where value is created, it's going to change. And the only way we're ever going to get out of this in a desirable way is if we learn to listen to each other and have enough humility to know that we don't know what the future is going to look like. So you just show up to work every day and you do your best and you read and you try to connect to people and understand people. And I can think of no greater hell than attending some of these formal events. I'm utterly useless at them because I just reject the notion of them. I appreciate the legacy and the history and the tradition of them, but I'm not very good with a tux on and a bow tie on. When I go around, I don't really like networking. Some cases I call people out. There was a particular person who was on the Epstein client list, and I was at a particular black tie event. And when they introduced me to that person, I said, weren't you the person on the Epstein client list? And he wasn't very happy about that and kind of walked off, fuming. Person I was with says, Charles, you can't say that. You can't do that. I said, why not? Nobody does. So I kind of say what I want and I say what I mean. You're supposed to grow up, I guess. And I never did. I never changed. I've just always stayed the same and been the Charles guy. And so that's where I go, where I'm most useful, where I have an opportunity to build and create, and when I have an opportunity to get to know people for who they are and set aside all the pretense. There are other people that are chameleons, and they can step into those environments, and they're ninjas, and they're very good at the diplomacy and never saying what they actually mean and guarding every single word. And you know what? Those people are in our orbit too, and they do a lot of great work, and they get things done. And the end result of that is always the same. Whether you're completely genuine or you're completely diplomatic, at some point you get to sit down and have a private meeting. And that's not what happens at those black tie events. They're for posturing, kind of like overpriced peacocks. They come to the ranch. You come to their office. You go to dinner and you sit down and you have a real conversation. And you know what they ask is the same thing that everybody's asking on Joe Rogan and Lex Friedman, the same thing everybody's asking at the bar. What happens next? What the hell do we do about AI now that we got O3 coming out? What the hell do we do about all this new technology that's coming? What do we do about all these robots, these humanoid robots that will all be in the labor force within just a few years? What do we do about China and the rise of this superpower that seems to be marching us towards a Thucydides trap. What do we do about the energy crisis? What do we do about overpopulation? What do we do about weather and climate change? And everybody has a different opinion. Some people say it's not going to be a problem. Some people say it's so existential, it's going to be the guiding narrative of humanity for the next 50 years or 100 years, and they react accordingly. But the only way you ever make progress there is you have the conversation. And at some point, policy has to be written. Every policy in the United States of America, and by derivation and transitivity, the world is under scrutiny at the moment. The whole social contract of the governed and the governing is changing, and it's changing right before our eyes. We're asking foundational questions like, what do intelligence agencies really do for us? How should law enforcement work? How should governments make decisions? When and where is direct democracy actually better than representative democracy? And what does representative democracy mean? And who really gets to decide who's in charge? These are the questions that people are asking right now. And that's one of the reasons Cardano exists. I didn't build a cryptocurrency for the purpose of having a cryptocurrency. I built it as the layer for the world to use to change its political, economic, and social systems. It's the place where the voting happens. It's the place where the money lives. It's the place where the conversation can happen without fear of censorship. And our technology today, January 20th, 2025, is the best it's ever been. Our roadmap today, January 20th, 2025, is the best that it's ever been. We have a clear eye on how to capture the future and where the value creation is going to be, not where it's at today, but where will it be in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. And we know how to do that together because we have the best governing system ever created for the cryptocurrency space. The very fact that we can have this level of diversity and disagreements and fights and still remain somehow making progress and pushing forward is a great example of who we really are at our core. So I know who I am. I'm just going to keep fighting the fight and keep innovating, keep building. We got Bitcoin DeFi coming this year. We're going all in on scalability technology like Laos and Hydra. And we've demonstrated time and again what can be done and where that's going to go. And it's about time that Cardano is no longer an island. Let's make Cardano a peninsula again. We have to get the integrations done. So we'll get them. We'll get the stable coins we need. We'll get the oracles we'll need. We have meetings with all the big guys, and we'll find a way forward. And when one person lets you down, other people can step up and try hard. And if they let you down, other people can step up. So we'll figure out a way together to get this where it needs to be. And yes, it's going to be expensive and time consuming. And there's going to be things that we don't like or admire or we think are disgusting in the industry. And we as an ecosystem have to make a decision together about what we tolerate and what we don't. The difference between us and all the other ones is we make that decision together and we make it out in the open and people are held accountable accordingly. And as long as that's the case, I don't see how we lose because there's a reason for us to win. We brought everybody along for the ride, not just the few on behalf of the many, but we brought everybody along. And it's imperfect. And many people listening will say, yes, but what about this thing that happened that I don't like? Say, all right, well, you just keep complaining about it because that's how you make change. And eventually people will agree with you if you're right. And if you're wrong, eventually you'll come to see the light as history moves forward. And we'll all just figure it out together. And that's what keeps me going after so many years in this industry and so many ups and downs and so much chaos. You told me when I was 25 years old, decade and a half later, that the president of the United States was going to launch his own cryptocurrency 2 days before the inauguration as a meme coin. I would say that you're stark raving mad. And now we're here. And we all just have to kind of understand that and appreciate it and think about it and say, what does that even mean? I guess it's a political tracker, a prediction market on the power and prestige and capability of the president. The number goes up, I guess the president's worth more and more powerful. If the number goes down, I guess the president has less influence and power. Maybe that's one way to look at it. And if you don't like him, you can look at it a completely different way. And that's the magic of the industry, is the rules are not written yet. So we're all just kind of moving along and discovering things real time. And some things are really good ideas and some things aren't. But would you have it any other way? And more importantly, would you want a system where people tell you what you're allowed to think, allowed to do, and ultimately what's a good idea and bad idea? We have that. It's called the legacy financial system. And that's the system that gave us all the wars. That's the system that gave us the 2008 financial crisis. That's the system that gave us Bernie Madoff. That's the system that has made all of us poor. That's the system that's made every generation less prosperous than the one before it, when you really think about it. I'm a child of the 80s and 90s. I was born in 87. When I was born, just a year later, The Simpsons launched, and I grew up with that show. Many people in my generational bracket, including now the Vice President of the United States of America. And as a child of that time, I remember very fondly that Homer Simpson, an uneducated blue-collar worker, could have a stay-at-home wife and 3 kids, 2 cars, and a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and could afford it. That wasn't a fantasy in 1988. When we look at the average couple in 2025, both can be college educated and they can barely afford the rent of an apartment, much less children. Think about that. Despite the fact that productivity has gone up by an order of magnitude, we have the internet, we have cell phones, we have all these massive improvements in computers and AI. All of our capability to produce more has gone up dramatically, yet the standard of living has gone down. And the reason being is very simple. They stole the money. Inflation stole our prosperity. Debt stole our prosperity. And the old guard of politicians, they look at you in the face and they say, it's some evil millionaires and billionaires class. I'm old enough to remember that Rockefeller was a long time ago. And somehow, some way, America got prosperous, despite the fact that we had the baronial age of robber barons in the 19th century. And somehow, in some way, America was able to survive that, thrive, and people like Homer could buy that house. Yet now, when we look to 2025, they can't. Something's wrong, and it's the money. And that's why crypto exists. And that's why crypto is the last resort. It is the people's money. And the fact that in such a short period of time, January 3rd, 2009, we've gone from the rebels, the malcontents, and the criminals to being welcomed with open arms at the highest echelons of power. So much so that now the most powerful man in the world just issued his own cryptocurrency, for better or for worse, is an indication of how powerful this technology truly is and how it eclipses us all. And we should always remember that we are never leaders in this. We're just foot soldiers, no matter how great we think we are. So some people will put on the tuxedos and work there. Some people will put on the suits and work in the mountains. And some people will be right here in Las Vegas learning about concrete, spreading the good word. Doesn't matter where you're at, what you're doing, the end result's the same. We're going to change the world, and we're going to have a revolution together. And I'm proud to be part of that. And I think you are too. So thanks for listening. It's going to be a fun time here. Can't wait to see who wins Hydra Doom. We got a lot of great plans of the next steps beyond that. It's going to be a long, hard year, a lot of work to do, but everybody's firing on all engines and all cylinders. And I am so excited to see what the government of Cardano is going to do for all of us. Now that in a very short period of time, all the lights are turned on. We got the D-Reps, we got the Constitutional Committee, we got the interim constitution, and we get to have our first real big fight, the permanent constitution and the budget. And after that, we're going to go conquer the world. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and have a wonderful night. Cheers.